Within the story of Jujutsu Kaisen, Satoru Gojo has always been hyped up to be the strongest, even being compared to the King of Curses Roman Sukuna. But in this video, I'm putting one of Gojo's students that was expected to surpass him or even reach his level. Yuji Itadori, the main character versus the strongest. Has the student finally surpassed or reached the level of Gojo? And I'll be answering that question in this video. But before I do that, if you do enjoy the channel, kindly like and subscribe, and also leave a comment on this video. So without further ado, let's get started. To start with the video, we would have to talk about speed first, since if Yuji can't keep up, then this fight would be pointless. We already know very well that a domain expansion Yuji was able to box with a full power Sukuna. I say full power because we know that Sukuna regained his reverse curse technique output, which would also mean his regular output as well, since reverse curse technique takes more cursed energy to work. We also see Yuji make Sukuna question if Yuji would keep hitting black flashes till he reached his level. And we see him get blitzed by Yuji while fully aware of what Yuji's punches can do. And he tries to avoid it as much as he can, which we know if Sukuna doesn't want to get hit, he will try dodge or block it, which leads me to believe he got blitzed. Not like this isn't uncommon. Sukuna was throwing a hissy fit when Yuji was dominating him on their one-to-one encounter, which forced Sukuna to use domain expansion. And we also know that pre-awakening Yuji and the gang were able to perceive the fight of Satoru Gojo versus Maguna, with Gojo confirming he was giving it his all, which would mean he was going all out, yet they all were able to perceive the fight perfectly fine, which wouldn't be the case if they were perception blitz tier above them. Nor would they be able to break down the fight and explain what's going on if they couldn't see it, since the fight was recorded live. We also know that a nerfed true form Sukuna perception blitzed Maki when he found her, somewhat interesting. And we also see him perception blitz Choso, who was also able to perceive the fight, which would make this true form Sukuna faster than Gojo. So Yuji shouldn't have trouble keeping up with Gojo in the fight physically, and in fact would have a somewhat speed advantage against Shinjuku Gojo. Also to note that only true form Sukuna, while nerfed, has shown to be faster than his slashes, him being able to blitz them, which previous versions of Sukuna has not demonstrated such a difference in speed between him and the slashes. It's also shown that Awakened Yuji was able to react to Sukuna's open domain expansion that was at full power due to a binding vow. So Yuji would also be able to react to Gojo's domain expansion as a slower Sukuna was able to, and that Sukuna was confirmed not giving it his all because he wanted to evolve his curse technique. So he kinda had to let Gojo beat him up for Maharaga to be useful. So for speed, Yuji definitely has it, or at least say Yuji and Gojo are somewhat relative, with Yuji having the slight advantage. And just for those that are not aware, AP is kinda irrelevant for these characters since their abilities somewhat neg durability, so it'd be kinda pointless to talk about. So I'll be skipping AP and going straight to domain expansions. When it comes to JJK, if you have a domain expansion, it's usually guaranteed that you will win. But when there are two domains expanded, the one that is stronger will dominate the domain clash. I know it is said the one with a more polished domain would win, but that doesn't hold up to be true, as we see Maguna with the most unpolished, incomplete domain that doesn't even have a sure hit is still able to domain clash with a complete and more polished domain expansion against Dagon. But we see a polished domain like Jogo's gets obliterated by Gojo's domain, which gets me to wonder, is it actually because it's more polished, or is it because it's more powerful that Gojo's domain won? And same case with Sukuna and Gojo's first clash of domains. Sukuna's domain is far more polished than Gojo's domain, so much so that he can do a open domain, which is a godly level of refining your domain expansion. We know Sukuna can close his domain, since we do see it against a finger barrier, and Sukuna was going to do it to Gojo after he thought Gojo had lost the fight. Yet in their domain clash, it was confirmed that they were equals in the barrier, and it was just because Sukuna's domain's range was just bigger that he won the clashes for the most part. So the only real answer is that if the domain is stronger or strong enough, you can clash any domain regardless of the refinement of said domain, which is the only logical explanation as to why these inconsistencies can exist and why Megumi can domain clash with a polished domain. With that being said, if Yuji and Gojo were to domain clash, who would win? And surprisingly, it would be Yuji for multiple factors. So before the Gojo fans persecute me, please do give me a chance to explain myself. Yuji's domain barrier is far bigger than Gojo's domain barrier, which would help him break the domain from the outside. We also see the barrier dwarfing multiple buildings, probably because Sukuna used his own domain inside Yuji's body. But still, Yuji could destroy Gojo's domain that way. And if Gojo uses small ball domain, which isn't likely to be the case since he doesn't know Yuji has a domain, that still wouldn't work because it will only last at best under 4 minutes or even less, since I do believe Yuji's domain expansion sure hit is more potent than Unlimited Void, because Hollow Wicker Basket couldn't keep up with Yuji's sure hit, which Hollow Wicker Basket is just a counter to sure hits, not punches from Yuji, which is why Sukuna notes that Reverse Curse Technique couldn't keep up with Yuji either. But we see a weaker Sukuna having no trouble using Hollow Wicker Basket in Yuta's domain expansion, which Yuta did swap training with Gojo, so he would have a better domain expansion after that training, since he did train using Gojo's domain expansion, so he would know that level of refinement and potency pre-small ball domain. And you could argue that his domain is more refined than Gojo's, since Yuta can control who the sure hit hits. But even with all that, Sukuna being jumped by 3 people and in a domain comparable to Gojo's normal domain, and yet Sukuna didn't worry about his hollow wicker basket, and in fact, he willingly let it down. But that isn't the case for Yuji's domain. As soon as his hollow wicker basket was down and he couldn't open a domain, boy was shitting himself by thinking about Yuji's sure hit. So I do see Yuji breaking Gojo's domain from the outside or breaking the domain from the inside, although it's said to be almost impossible, but not impossible. And we do see Yuji break his own domain by using a black flash, powerful enough to break the domain from the inside. As we see the domain burst outward as soon as he lands the black flash, which is possible since black flash does distort space. And we also do see Sukuna being able to destroy Gojo's domain from the outside when Gojo switched the interior and exterior, making the outer shell stronger than the inside of the domain, which makes me to believe that Sukuna, if he wanted to, if he wasn't holding back, could have destroyed Gojo's domain inside or outside. You can also argue that due to the speed advantage, Yuji would beat the domain clash, since we see Sukuna lose a domain clash due to casting his domain in 0.01 seconds slower than Gojo. And here we have Yuji, first time opening a domain by the way, and that perception blitzes this full power Sukuna, who was flabbergasted and didn't even know what was going on. This isn't like Sukuna couldn't read the massive cursed energy build up from Yuji casting his domain and him doing the hand signs and him saying his domain and obviously the name of the domain. No one will say Sukuna couldn't have read that or sensed it unless he got blitzed. So when it comes down to domain clashes, Yuji also has that advantage to beat Gojo. And if we are talking about hand-to-hand combat, Yuji has that as well. He can go band for band with Sukuna, and if he is feeling excited, he can be comboing black flashes to Gojo. It would probably be his only way to bypass infinity without Gojo being on burnout. And if need be, he does have simple domain that could last almost 99 seconds of Sukuna's full power domain expansion. So with a domain expansion like Gojo's that doesn't do physical damage, it would be a perfect counter. Now we can talk about their curse techniques and abilities. So how Gojo's infinity works is the same mathematical concept of convergence and divergence, where he can make any finite distance into an infinite one and beyond by manipulating the formula of the distance or space. Example, if you divide the number 2 by half, then you get number 1. Divide that 1 by half, you get 0.5. Then do that again and again and again, which eventually you will never reach 0 because you can infinitely divide any number, and that's a infinite series or an example of an infinite series. But Gojo can fully manipulate that distance by changing the order around. But the thing is, you get higher levels of infinity, mathematically speaking, which, based on mathematicians that explains the curse technique, Limitless, they pretty much say that due to the distance infinitely converging, this explains the infinitesimal distance is never reached. And then they say of a function that diverges infinitely, this explains the phenomena where a infinite distance continues endlessly.
which you can conclude that they mean that you would have to cross an infinite amount of infinite distances, which does make sense as to why Gojo can amplify his neutral limitless and why reversed curse technique red is 2 times stronger than blue, which blue is negative space that sucks up everything to fill in the negative space, which is possible due to convergence and divergence. And with red, he can condense this infinity that exists everywhere to a point, and unlike blue, this repels everything in a range. And hollow purple is the combination of red and blue to create imaginary space that shouldn't exist but still exists. I also want to add that in the JJK Zero movie, which is canon due to many author statements, there is a statement by Miguel that says Gojo's curse technique manipulates space and time, which that makes sense as to why he can teleport and move in time stop, etc. Gojo also has the six eyes, which can tell him how techniques works.
As for Yuji, although some people believe that Yuji can't do soul damage, I'll simply break it down for you. Number 1. Yuji passively learned how to perceive the contours of the soul, which is why he was able to hurt Mahito, and he was able to learn this because he had 2 souls. He doesn't need 2 souls to do this, nor was that ever implied or stated. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to learn how to see the soul. Number 2. Yuji further learns more about the soul thanks to Yuki's book, so he was able to refine his target of the soul by being able to perceive boundaries of 2 souls, and he is able to put a piece of his own soul into your soul space, as we see Yuji do this twice to communicate with Megumi while fighting Sukuna. So it would be dishonest to say that Yuji can't damage the soul when the criteria has already been accomplished and shown. It's like saying Gojo can't manipulate cursed energy on the normal level like Yuji, Yuta, and so on, because it was only stated that he can manipulate it on a atomic level, even though that is a higher level of cursed energy manipulation than manipulating it like everybody else. Same case with Yuji. So for all of y'all that say he can't because it wasn't stated, that's an argument from ignorance, and I can say it wasn't stated that he couldn't do soul damage, even though Mahito confirmed that he can. But either or, it's still an argument from ignorance. Just because it wasn't stated doesn't mean it's not the case. So the burden of proof would be on y'all to prove that he can't do soul damage. And as for his curse technique shrine, he can apply his soul damage to his curse technique. And for those that didn't know, Yuji made a binding vow to make his dismantles soul damage do more damage to the boundaries of the soul in exchange of his ranged dismantles, which is why we never see a ranged dismantle. We also know that his soul dismantle doesn't damage the body like a normal slash would. Also note that he does have cleave, which was why he was able to physically damage Sukuna even with low output, and we know cleave only works by touching the target. Also note how Sukuna took physical damage from dismantles than a soul dismantles in Yuji's domain. This is more likely to be the case because Yuji didn't know how to apply his soul damage to his domain, since it isn't something inherited by the curse technique. Or it could be the case that within the domain it does both physical and spiritual damage, just not as strong as it would be spiritually due to it being a range dismantle, which would go against the binding vow. So the output for soul damage could be lower in the domain than him actually using the touch dismantles for the boundary of the soul. Also, Cleave never hits Sukuna, which makes me believe that Yuji's domain is the opposite of Sukuna's. Instead of Cleave hitting those with cursed energy and Dismantle hitting those without cursed energy, Yuji's domain seemingly has Dismantles hitting those with cursed energy and Cleave for those without cursed energy. So with all that being said, does Yuji have anything against red, blue, and hollow purple? And the answer is yes. He can reinforce his body or hands with cursed energy to resist the spatial attacks, as shown by Sukuna tanking 200% hollow purple with his reinforced hands. And we see Yuji survive Sukuna's domain expansion with his cursed tool arms taking no damage. So him reinforcing the cursed tool arms with cursed energy would help him tank purple, red, and blue. Although he does have high level RCT and blood manipulation type of RCT. So it would be hard for Gojo to kill him, but of course he can still take damage if he doesn't use reinforcement, and he can't do anything to Infinity unless we say he can Black Flash and damage Gojo or get him to burn out his curse technique and not let him have a chance to open another domain. But it's not like anything would change, and we have seen Yuji try beat the dog shit out of someone while they are in mid constructing their domain. And I 1000% believe a Black Flash will bypass Infinity, because not only does it warp space like Infinity, but we see Yuji's Black Flash be so powerful it shatters his domain expansion from the inside, which was perceived to be nearly impossible by even Gojo Satoru. And we know this is due to the Black Flash because, again, it shatters while Yuji just landed the punch, which we know a domain expansion is a subspace or a sub-dimension, which is why the interior and exterior are not the same size. And of course, if Yuji does Black Flash Gojo, it's more than likely GG's from there on, and Gojo is KO'd or heavily damaged. Then opening up a domain would be impossible, and then Yuji could open his domain and get the job done. Or he can just keep on hitting Black Flashes, which would keep making him stronger and stronger. And I don't think Gojo, who was getting matched by Maguna, has any way of tanking Yuji's Black Flashes, specifically if he is hitting him with Soul Black Flashes. So I would give the winner to Yuji, but I do see if the author were to write this fight, he probably, or more so, undoubtedly, would give it to Gojo. If y'all like this video, then Black Flash the like button and subscribe button, and until next time, peace.